Hmm.
Hello.
Hello.
There we go. It's better.
You're not going to midnight mass?
Of course. Of course I am. It's funny. When I grew up, it was Polish Catholics. They
Yeah.
went. They all went to church. Today, nobody goes to church. I don't know anybody who goes to church.
Well, some of my guys do.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
the Spanish ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the regular Americans, I don't. Not in Los Angeles.
No, only for if a president dies or something like
Yeah.
that.
Uh, we're on seven.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Uh,
Is it cold there or not?
no, it was 74 and sunny.
Oh, that's nice.
It was nice, yeah.
We had,
As soon as you get past Redlands, the sun came out.
hmm, it was, by us, we had rain today.
Really? I know it was very cloudy in the morning.
Yeah, but it was,
Really, it
I,
rained.
I came from work
Yeah,
early and Anna asked me to take something out to the trash that's outside because on Thursday they're coming. But she
yeah.
says, put another shoe because it's raining. I said,
Wow.
what? And then I went out again 2 hours later.
Yeah.
It was still,
Wow.
but it was not rain. It was that stupid
Like a
drizzle.
mist. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. The grass needs it.
Yeah. It's good for the marijuana,
Yeah, it grows faster,
I suppose.
huh?
Uh so where's the leader?
Maybe playing golf with Walter.
Yeah, that's can you golf on Christmas? I wonder. Probably.
Why not?
Not religious. Uh,
It's like that rabbi who goes to play golf with the priest, in
yeah.
Charlotte.
Yeah, and he
And,
gets a
and
hole in
that's
one.
a one hole, one in
A hole in one.
a hole in one. He said,
Can't,
and
can't
he
tell
was
anybody.
upset. Who can I tell now?
Yeah. It's a good joke. I haven't seen George too much lately.
No, he's busy with his kidney patients.
Oh,
I'm still in shock with it.
Chaim?
Yeah, because we didn't know anything. That's why.
He didn't want anybody to know. He didn't want anybody to know, which I think it's silly, but you know, that's how you know how he is. Stubborn.
Yeah.
As soon as he was diagnosed, I wanted to come over and visit him. No, 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 no.
Oh, you knew from before already?
I knew he had something. I didn't know what, but I knew he was sick. This
Yeah.
was like maybe 6 months when he stopped coming to shul, and then he says he'll be better soon. He'll be coming back. I don't know. That was
Was
it.
it 6 months already? Or it was less, I think, no?
I think maybe it was like 4. Yeah, it wasn't so
Yeah.
long.
No. I called Miriam.
Oh yeah, when?
No. Like 3 weeks ago, she answered.
Oh
So I said, listen, I haven't seen Chaim for quite a while. He's not well, but he will, Baruch Hashem, he will, that kind of, okay.
yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
Hi,
Good
Ernie.
evening.
We're on Zayin Amud Aleph, 7.
Correct.
Zayin Amud Aleph, 7a. Tonight is what's called Nittel Nacht, Nittel. Mark Shapiro has a very famous article on Nittel Nacht. Nittel comes from the word tolui, hung, because Yoshka was hung, right, on a crucifix that was called nitla, that was called hung. So the word nittel is from tolui, from the hung one.
Hmm.
He wasn't hung on Christmas, just saying that he
No.
was hung. Okay.
So the Jews refer to him as the hunged one.
Was he well hung?
Okay. By the way, it's a very late development. There's no mention of this in the Gemara or the Rishonim. The Makor Chaim, who is a 1500 commentary on the Shulchan Aruch, he's the first person who mentions this practice. This practice of not learning is really still kept mainly by Hasidic groups. The Litvisha never really accepted it. Like in in Lithuania, learning went on in Tels and Ponovich and Mir and Volozhin. They learned Nittel Nacht, mainly a Hasidic practice. There were many other practices. For example, they didn't sleep with their wives, Nittel Nacht, like Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur. So that was a practice. And Shapiro finds there were apostates, Jews who had converted to Christianity, who wrote about this practice, and comes out that one of the reasons that they stopped learning Torah tonight was there was a thought that it would go to the zechus of Yoshka, any learning that went on tonight. Like the typical understanding was it was dangerous for people to go out tonight because there were pogroms or whatever. Shapiro debunks this because we see that there were minyanim. There wasn't a prohibition to go out to minyan. They didn't stay home and daven ma'ariv b'yechidus. They went to shul and they davened. So, the reasons are debated. Some of it is because they didn't want to give schus. They would say that there was also the Goyim thought that the Jews were making fun of him. There's something called Toldos Yeshu that people would read. It was sort of a parody of Yoshka's life, and that he was, dragged in filth and in the sewers Christmas night. And so the Christians were very upset about when they heard about some of the practices, whether they were true or not true. So it's really got a bizarre background. Today, most of the Kohanim are learning, to my understanding. In a lot of families, in many places, they played cards. It wasn't Hanukkah that they played cards. They played cards Nittel Nacht. Instead of learning, they played cards. Different ones. I don't know if they played Kvitlach. Okay. That's just a little preface to tonight's learning. Zayin Amud Aleph. We said, mitzvah l'meimelu idina b'yisi pshar b'yisi, that the dayan, it's a mitzvah to tell the litigants, if you want, we will do din. If you want, we'll do pshara. Well, Hainu Tanakama, that's the sheet of the Tanakama. It can be now mitzvah. The difference would be the Tanakama allows you to do it, and the other Mandover says it's a mitzvah to do it. Rabbi Shua ben Korcha Savar mitzvah, Tanakama Savar rishus. You could do either way. Well, the rishus is Hainu Rabbi Shua ben Asya. It could be benayu mishetishma divrei v'tayodei leichel adin noite. If you've heard a little bit of their claims and you know which say it's going to go, then you can't tell them to go to compromise. Once you hear some of the claims of the litigants, and you know probably which side it's gonna lean to, then you cannot do compromise anymore. Upligid Rav Tanchum bar Chaniloi. This is all in contradistinction to Rav Tanchum. Rav Tanchum bar Chaniloi lo nemar mikra zeh ela keneged ma'aseh egel. This pasuk that we've been saying, ubotzei beirach noatz Hashem, that whoever compromises is really cursed. It's going on a different story. Shenema vayar Aaron vayivim mizbech lefanav. Aaron saw the egel, and he said we have to build a mizbech. Mara. Why? What did Aaron see that he decided I have to build an egel? Amra Binyamin bar Yefes Amra Belazar Ras Chur. They saw that the people killed Chur. Shezavach lefanav. He opposed building the egel. They killed him. Omar. So Aaron said to himself, if I don't listen to them, they're going to do to me what they did before. Umekayim be, and with the killing of me, it'll be im yoharig b'mikdash Hashem Kohen v'Navi. Pasuk in Eicha that says a Kohen and a Navi was killed in the base of Mikdash. So Chur is the Navi and he's the Kohen. That's going to be a problem for Klal Yisrael. La'avalu takonta lo'olam. They will not be able to achieve tshuva. Muta d'li'avdu le'egel. So I'll listen to them make the egel. Efshar avilei takonta b'tshuva. And we'll fix the problem with tshuva. Still, with the pasuk of, because Aaron did a compromise, but say berach ne'atz Hashem, the pasuk is going on Aaron that he compromised, and it's not a good thing what Aaron did. Bani tanoi, poiter ma'im reshis mudun, that they did not darshan that pasuk regarding Pshara my darshi bay. It's Karavuna, Karavanuna. Shamar ain't chilazina shel adam nidin el al divrei Torah. On Rosh Hashanah, or by the final Yom Adin, the first thing he's going to be asked is, did you learn Torah? Kovati itim b'Torah. And how do we see that? Shenemar poiter mayim reishis medun. Mayim is always considered like Torah. And that's the beginning of the reishis adin. Ravuna ki aitigrid demaylit sarna debit kedemaya. Fights between people is similar to a pipe in a field that there's a little hole in the pipe and water is flowing out of it. Kivan de ravach ravach. The hole gets bigger and bigger and the water flows out of there faster. That's the same thing with fights. Fights start small and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Abai kshisha omar, domi laguda de gamla. It's like a plank in a bridge. Even to come. Once it's firm, it gets firmer and firmer. Same thing with fights. It gets stronger and stronger. Now, there's going to be a whole bunch of statements by the Gemara that people would say certain things, like a popular phrase, and the Gemara is going to give us psukim that relate to that phrase. There was a person while he was walking would say, Tuvi de shama va'adish, chalfu bish de meya. If somebody hears bad things being said about him, and he doesn't make a big fuss, he's silent, then even 100 bad things will pass him by. Armalei Shmuel Rav Yehuda Kroksiv, the pasuk that conveys that idea is Poiter Mayim Reishis Medun. That when you first have fights, it's like when water starts flowing. And that's reish me'adine. Is you avoid 100 problems if you hear somebody speak bad about you and you're quiet. A person would say, Atarti tlas gnava lo miktel. If you steal 2 or 3 times, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to put you to death. Armalei Shmuel Rav Yehuda Krok Siv Kol Amar Hashem Al Shloisha Pishei Yisrael Val Arba Lo Shivenu. So Shmuel darshans the pasuk that prior to the 4th time you do something, you can do tshuva even on 3 things. The person would say while he was walking, Shev Beri L'Shalmona, there are 6 boars, 6 ditches for a man of peace. L'chad alavid bish. The 6 that this man of peace doesn't fall into any of the 7. But chad alav bish. But for a bad person, he digs a pit and he falls into it. Armalei Shmuel Rav Yehuda Kroksiv ki sheva yipol tzadik v'kam rasha yipol bechas. The tzaddik doesn't fall into any of the 7 pits, but the rasha falls into the one that he digs for himself. I would have a kamer vazil. People would say, the azul beidina shakal glima. Let's say a person went to court and they ruled against him. He had to give the shirt off his back. Lizmar zemer, you should sing a song. V'lezel borcha, and go home. You know what? He was part of Mishpat. And being part of Mishpat is a good thing. Even though he lost that case, he's involved in the righteous Mishpat. Amalei Shmuel Rav Yehuda Kroksiv, v'gam kol ha'mazel makomo yavo b'shalom. It means as long as Mishpat is done, everybody, including the 2 parties, will be in peace. People said as they walked, he naima v'dikla shapil. Women carrying a basket on their heads. When she falls asleep, it falls off her head. Armalei Shmuel Rav Yehuda Kroksiv Baal Tzaltaim Yimacha Mekare. Baal Tzaltaim is like someone who's lazy. The Mekare are it's like the roof. The house leaks when people are lazy. There was a person leaned on a person. The guy took care of him. Ligzai raises his hand against him, and he stands against him. Sometimes a trusted friend will rise up against you. When we were young, we got married, we loved each other greatly. We could sleep on a bed that was so narrow, it was the width of a sword. Now we've gotten older, our love is not as strong. Even a bed of 60 amas is not big enough for us. Initially, Kodesh Baruch Hu said, I will appear, my Shekhinah will appear bein the kruvim. V'tanya Oren Tisha Kaporis Tevachrei Kanasora. It's a very small area. Later on, when Shlomo Melech builds the Beis Hamikdash, Uksiv, V'abayis Shebona Melech Shlomo Lashem, Shishimama Orkov Esrim Rachbo Shloshimama Kamoiso. Ulvasof ksiv kama Hashem Hashemayim kisiv hartzadam raglai eze bais asher tivnu li. That the whole earth is where I put my feet. That means when Klal Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu are not in harmony, the Beis HaMikdash is also not a place big enough for the Shekhinah. My mashma the high lo saguru. It says lo saguru lifnei ish. We talked about dayonim; they shouldn't be afraid of people. Now, taguru also can mean lishna de kanushihu. You gather things. Amrav Nachman Amar Krav v'yayin lo tishtav lo segor. The concept that you cannot gather in wine. Rav Acha bar Yaakov Amar Mehacha tachin b'kaitz lachma. Prepare in the summer the bread. Agra b'kotzer ma'chala. You can't gather wine. Rav Acha bar Ravika Amar Mehacha oiger b'kaitz ben amaskil. That you gather things in the summertime. That refers to a judge who, for example, is not giving public his pronouncement. He's keeping it himself. He's gathering it in. Emes Maman Yirasim. Amrav Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amrav Yonis. Kol dayin shedan din emes lamito mashrei shchina b'Yisrael. If a judge rules truthfully, it leads to Shechina being in Israel. Shenemar Lukim nitzav batas kel, beker v'lim yishpot. The chol dayan shedan din emes lamito. A judge that does not rule with truth, korem l'Shechina shetistalik m'Yisrael. This leads to the Shechina leaving. Shenemar mishod einai me'ayin kasav yonim ata yokum yomer Hashem. By putting pressure on poor people or need people, by not judging accurately, he will leave the people. A dayan who takes money from one and gives to the other when it's not appropriate, HaKadosh Baruch Hu notam imenu nafsho. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take his nefesh from him. Shenemar, al tigzal dal ki dalhu. Don't steal from a poor person. Valdidke oni b'shar ki Hashem yariv rivam. Hashem will fight for them. V'kovas koveim nafesh. And take the nefesh of the person who caused that problem. A dayan should see himself as a sword between his legs or his thighs. The Ganem Chusalo Mitachtav, and Ganem is below him. Nemar, Hine Mitaso Shalish Shlomo Shishim Giborim Saviv La. This is the bed of Shlomo, 60 heroes around it. Mi Giborei Kula Machuzei Cherev. They hold a sword, Melunde Melchama Ish Chabo Yirecho Mipachad Balelos. Mipachta Shal Gehenim Shadom Ales. The fear of judging improperly, we will fall into Gehenna. Gehenna is like Laila. Dorish Rabbi Yoshiv Item Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak. Ma'idich based on Vikom Hashem. Dinu laboiker mishpat. In the morning, judge mishpat. Vatzilu gozl miyad oishek. Save the one who was stolen from the oppressor. V'chid baboiker donin v'chol hayom ein donin. What is this boiker business? You can have based in a whole day. You as a judge, it has to be clear to you as it is in the morning. The morning is clearest. Amrei, if it's clear to you like the morning, then you can say such a din. V'imlav al tomrei, and if it's not clear to you, don't say the din. Tell wisdom, I'm your sister. Everyone knows that you cannot have relations with your sister. It's prohibited to you. If it's clear to you like that halacha, omreyu, v'imlav al tomreyu. Otherwise, don't say the din. Amir Yeshua ben Levi. Asar sheyoshvim b'din, kuler torah b'tzavar kulam. A kuler is like they would take out somebody to execute with a collar around their neck. So the 10 dayonim in din, they have to view themselves with a collar around their neck. Pshita lo tzricha l'talmid hayoshev lefnei Rabbo. Even the Talmud, who's sitting in front of them, and hears something, maybe that his Rebbe didn't say properly, and he was quiet, the collar is around his neck as well. Ravuna kiave asi dina lekamei, when Ravuna would sit as a dayan, michtif u'maiseh asar abonim mibei Rav. He would go into the yeshiva of Rav and take 10 people to sit with him. Amar ki yechi delimtin shiba mikshura. I only want some of the responsibility, just like a splinter from a big piece of wood. The more people there are, so there's less achrayus there is. Rav Ashi ki have osi trevis lekamei. They would bring him an animal, and he had to paskin whether this was an injury that would lead to the animal dying within 12 months, which would make him a treifa. Such an animal, you can't eat the meat from such an animal. So they would bring an animal. He would gather all the butchers of Masa Machsa to help him. I want to spread the achrayas to a lot of different people. Yosef Rav Dimi Omar Dosh Rav Nachman Bar Kohen Maidich Siv Melech B'Mishpet Yamid Oretz. The king who does mishpat is going to solidify the earth. For each trumas yersema. Somebody who takes gifts, I assume maybe bribes, is going to destroy. Im dain dolam melech she'enot tzarich leklum. The dain has to be like a king that doesn't rely on anybody. He's independent. Yamid Oretz, such a judge will solidify the country. Im doim lekoyen. A kohen, he gets trumas and gifts from everybody. If that's the kind of judge it's going to be a problem for the land. The Bein Nesiya Ukma Dayana Dulavi Gamir. By the exilarch, by the Reish Galusa, they appointed a shoifet who was an Amoritz. Arman Yehuda Bar Nachmani Meturkma Reish Lakish. This shofet said to Yehuda Bar Nachmani, who was the Meturkman of Reish Lakish, Kum Alei B'Moira. He appointed him his translator. Kam Gochin Alei, so he bent over to hear what he was going to say. He didn't say anything. So the Meturkman said, Pasach Vomer Hoi, Omer Le'etz Akitza, like oive to the wood to say speak. Uri le'evan du mamu yoyre, and such a person is the one that is going to give halacha. Hinei hu tofu zova kesef. This is a pasuk in Chavakuk. The wood and the stone is covered with gold and silver. The charuach ein bikirbo. That's the end of the pasuk. And it refers to somebody. He's not qualified to be a judge. Maybe he paid for it. Kodesh Baruch is going to take revenge for those who put such a judge in place. Shemar, Vashem beichal kodshoch hasmi ponav kol haaretz. Amrish Lakish. Kolamami dainal at tzibur sheina hagun. Whoever appoints a judge over the tzibur that's not appropriate, kilo noteh asher b'Yisrael. Like he planted a Nasher retreat. Shenamar, Shovtim v'shotrim titen lacha, v'samech leilot tita lacha sherakoletz. There's a smich in the psukim there. Amar Rav Ashi v'mkom sheish tamid chachamim, ki'ilu notoret lamizbach. And if you appointed a judge that's not roy with their tamid chachamim, it's like you planted the Asher tree next to the mizbech itself. Shenamar eitz lamizbach Hashem okem. Siv lo tasun iti lo kesef lo yizov. Don't make idols out of silver and gold. Elohei kesef lo yizov lo avdi. Hadar eight shari, what, out of wood you're allowed? Amar Rav Ashi, Eloha ba bishvil kesef. Eloha ba, we're talking about judges, who's also, the Torah calls them Elohim, that are coming into that position because of gold and silver. That's what Hashem is warning against doing. Rav, when Rav would come to serve as a judge, Pirus nafshe liktola nafik. If you're taking your life in your hands, utzvi besa lesu of it. If you paskin wrongly, you could get bisal b'dei shamayim. And he comes to his home empty, reikin lebesa ayel, ulevai shetei bia kitzia. A judge was not paid, so he is poor. He comes without anything. He comes back home without anything, and that's good. The Soifrim would follow Rav. Omar im yala l'shamayim siu. If a person's too haughty, he's going to wither away. So even though he's getting a lot of covet, he has to pinch himself and say, I'm really not roy for all this covet. Mazutra, the people would carry him on their shoulders to give the drushes on Shabbos. Even people who are powerful doesn't go on forever. Again, he was trying to keep himself humble. Dorish bar kapar. There is in Pirkei Avos, you should be moderate when you serve as a judge. Tichsiv lo saleh b'malois. Don't go up on the stairs of the Beis Hamikdash. V'samech lei ve'ela mishpatim. Everybody would sit on the floor. The judge would walk in, but you shouldn't step over people. Because it says, Lo saleh b'malo, so samech le ve'ela mishpatim. Then it says, Ve'ela mishpatim asher tasim. It shouldn't say asher tasim, asher talamte miboli. These are the mishpatim that you're going to teach Moshe Rabbeinu. Amrav Yirmeh v'tem Rav Chia barava. Elu klei adayonim. These are the tools that a dayan uses. Ravunik yavanafik l'yinam rachi afikuli mani chanutoi makel ritzu of a shuf of a zandola. It was a stick that he beat people with, and a strap. They did malchus with the strap. They would put people into cherem with a shofar, and they would use a sandal for chalitza. So it's the judge's doctor's bag that he would bring to work. I commanded the shoftim be careful when you're using the stick in the strap. You cannot listen to one litigant when the other litigant isn't there. One of the litigants shouldn't explain his case without the other litigant being there. Each one is required to hear the other. Rav Gon Amar Me'acha mi lo sisa lo sasi. The judges shouldn't listen to somebody who's not telling the right story. Ushvatetem tzedek, Amar Reish Lakish, tzadik es adin v'achar chatcheyu. Make sure you go through the details so you have the right din. And then carry it out. That means when, let's say, two brothers are inheriting a house, the judge has to know the difference between the first floor and the second floor. And then also bein gero, bein tanur l'kirai. It means you have to know the difference between an oven and a stove. Lo sakir panim b'mishpat, Rabbi Omer lo sakirehu. If you have a friend show up, you can't be partial to your friend. You can't recognize him. Rabbi Lezer Omer lo sinakrehu. If somebody is somebody you don't like, you shouldn't be biased against him. Treat him as if you don't know who he is. Ushpezichted Ravas l'kamedina. Rav used to stay at a hotel. And he showed up, l'kamedina, came in front of Rav, and Rav was going to adjudicate. Amar lo, lav ushpezichlian, don't I stay at your inn? Amar lo inn. Amar le, dini isli, you have a judgment with me? Amar le, silnu l'chad l'dina. He disqualified himself, he recused himself, because he felt he would be biased against him. Okay. We're going to learn tonight